Hello, welcome to Living Arts. I'm your host, Jackie Suarez. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight we're going to be speaking with Wendie Garber of the Flatiron Gallery that's located right here in Peekskill, and more specifically about an exhibit she's got coming up called The Carrier Pigeon, a group exhibit. Wendie, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you, Jackie. It's great to be here again, and I'm very excited because we are coming on into June very quickly now, and that is the big annual open studio weekend for the whole city of Peekskill, the whole big art district. It's going to come alive again, and our gallery has a very special exhibit this time, a group exhibit of the carrier pigeon artists, as you mentioned. And some of them I haven't even met yet, so I'm really kind of interested in that I'm going to be experiencing it almost like for the first time, like the crowd that's coming. But I do know a few of the artists, and one of them is Bruce Waldman, who I represent in our gallery, and he is the co-president of this wonderful group. And not only does this group exhibit together, but they also have magazines published of their artwork and of literary pieces that go with some of the artwork. So it's a group of writers and illustrators that form together, and I think they're in their 9th publication now.
Okay, so it hasn't been around for maybe for the past year they've been doing this.
No. I think it's maybe 10 years.
Oh, okay.
I don't know
the 9th edition.
But the 9th edition, it may take a year for each edition.
Oh, okay, I forgot you.
But I really don't know the exact amount of period of time, but it's been a number of years they're together. And they're mainly from the metropolitan area, from New York and New Jersey and south of us. So that makes it interesting too. There are a few artists in the group that are from Westchester, and actually 2 of them are in the Brown Street studios right here in Peekskill. They'll be in the exhibit. Ilse Schreiber-Knoll is one of them, and she lives in Tarrytown and has a studio in the Brown Street studios, right to the left of the Paramount. And then I'm forgetting her. It'll come back to me.
It'll come back to you.
Yes, we have another artist in that building, but it'll come back to me. And then David Fox, he's another artist who lives in Brewster, and he teaches down at the art workshop in County Center in White Plains, and he's in the group, so he's going to be exhibiting. And I also have some of David's work here. In fact, the 2 artists I just mentioned, David Fox, here's one of his portraits. He's very well known for that. And Bruce Waldman, who is one of the founders of this group. This is a beautiful etching we have on display of musicians. Oh, okay. Yes.
So when you were putting together this this group, did they come to you with the project to use your space?
They kind of did, but I just thought of the other artist's name. I don't
go
want to
ahead.
leave her out. Alana Gorin.
Okay.
She's the other artist in Brown Street Studios, and she has a nice etching she's putting in. I've known Bruce a long time. Bruce has had a solo show with me. We have a lot of his work, his etchings and monoprints upstairs in our 3rd floor space. So he teaches over at the college, as I said, too, with David in the county center. So he and I go way back, and he's always told me about this group, and he started giving me copies of their magazine. I happen to have 2 here tonight. And when we got interested in seeing some of the art that it was in the magazine, I said, well, these are really talented, very expressive artists, because they could tell stories with their work. I mean, they're illustrators.
No.
So
they're writing
there are writers, and then there are the more visual artists. So he's one of the visual artists. But anyway, he said, well, this group goes to different galleries and has group shows. Do you have any openings in your schedule? Would you ever want to have a group show at the Flatiron Gallery? So I said, gee, it's just amazing. But he asked me this about a year ago. I said, but we actually have June open, and that would be the best month of all because it's open studio month. And it's a very interesting show for the public. And we'd have a lot more people also coming because it's open studios. People from the metropolitan area, people from all around who want to see it all, because it's a 2-day event. So I thought it's very appropriate. Yeah.
I just wanted to interrupt you quickly, because anyone that's from this area would know definitely about you and the Flatiron Gallery. But just very quickly, give our audience, someone that's not too familiar with it, just an idea of what you're doing there and what goes on at the Flatiron.
All right. Well, we're in our 17th year as a community gallery. We represent over 100 artists.
Wow.
We do have a lot of painters, and we have solo shows or group shows every month. But we don't just have fine art or paintings or sculpture. We also sell jewelry, handcrafted jewelry. We sell pottery. We have a couple things I brought on the table here. We have an artist that makes beautiful scarves, silk scarves, hand-painted scarves. We have all kinds of craft items in addition to fine art. So we even have wearable art. I'm wearing a jacket by Winding River Clothing from Braintree, Massachusetts. And so it's made right here in the USA, and it's reversible.
Wow, you were on the show last year, and I love saying that because we've been around for long enough to say that, that you are, you're a repeat guest, and so glad to have you back on. But these jackets, one of the things that I've really always admired about them is just the versatility of it.
Oh, it's great.
And how you can kind of change up the look, and I see that this is made with a slightly different material. It's a little lighter for the summer.
Right, and even the buttons reverse. It's a lot of fun, but the best feature of all is that they don't wrinkle. So I get a lot of women who come in who travel a lot, and they just say, wow, this is the greatest thing, have a jacket that doesn't wrinkle. So anyway, they're decorative, they're functional, and it's another form of art. So our gallery, I would have to say, is more eclectic. It's not
That's the word you want to use, for sure.
It's not a traditional gallery. It has a little bit of everything. And I like to try different things. So even this group show that we're having with the printmakers and the illustrators is going to be new for us, but that makes it exciting. So
no, it is. Now, the things that you have in the gallery, and the people that are have rooms there or have space there, are you representing everyone there? Yeah,
that's a good question. For those who have never been to this building, we're located in the Flatiron building, right above the Peekskill Coffee House.
Okay.
And our gallery is on the second and third floor. We have 4 exhibit rooms in all, but there are 8 other rooms in the gallery, and they're all art spaces that other artists rent. Now, they represent themselves, but I also represent them. So, for instance, if they're not there, I have keys to all the other studios, and they encourage me to show their work to other people, and sometimes they're in our shows and so forth. So we do have, that kind of relationship, and we're also kind of like a family. We all get along. It's a very nice building. Artists working together for many years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the feeling you get when you go in there. Now, let's say are you actively looking as you go across, and you maybe run across a specific type of art or something that someone is putting together, or do you have people soliciting you to have things in there?
When I first opened, I was looking because I was very new at this. But then we have so many artists right now that I don't really spend much time looking. Other people might find out about us and ask if I could see their work, or if there's spaces available in the building. Everybody wants a studio there. But and I always look at people's artwork. I don't really turn them away, but I may not be able to accommodate them, because we don't have much room right now. So, but I always look, and sometimes I help them if they want to look elsewhere. I have ideas for them. Yeah. But the area here is so rich in artists and talented artists, and the quality is very high in our building and all over the area. Peekskill and the surrounding area, it's really, we're very, very lucky that we have such terrific artists. So you really don't have to go all the way down in New York City to find great art,
No, absolutely
not. And I think
not.
that's an interesting message to get to people who maybe never really checked it out. They shouldn't feel nervous or uncomfortable. If anyone's listening to this program and wants to go to the galleries for the first time, or visit the art studios on Open Studio Day, it's very easy. People are very friendly and very comfortable. It's not intimidating. You could just enjoy it.
It's a real place for someone that is a real lover of the arts.
That's right.
Because if not even depending on what it is that you're interested in, I find that this is a good area to just see things on a smaller scale in a smaller venue. Whether it's a performing artist or going into your gallery has just a great vibe, and it has great things there, and I love just seeing things there, because how often have I dropped in when you're having a reception or something, and it's nice to get to just speak to the artist for a hot minute.
Yeah, well, that's also the nice thing about having a reception once a month, because that's when, if the public can come to the receptions, that's when they meet the artists. Otherwise, they're going to be with me, of course, and I'll try to tell their artist story as best I can. But it's nice to have a face-to-face time with the artist.
Absolutely, and to really, really get into the process of how they made various things. I think it's Mitch Volosky.
Oh yeah, remember Mitchell Visocki, right? Yeah, you were asking him all about that, yeah.
Right, and it was it's an awesome experience, and I highly recommend it. To anyone that's coming.
Yes, it's wonderful for even for children.
Yeah.
And adults, and there's always something new to discuss. And I'm always learning, by the way.
I can imagine, I mean, that must be very enriching for you because you're constantly meeting new people. And, I guess bringing it back to the carrier pigeon.
And I like to know what inspires people. Now, can I take a
this
moment
was
to
awesome.
read something?
Absolutely. Well, first tell us about the magazine itself and how, when they got together to put this out.
Well, they got together and they started making these wonderful magazines. I don't know if you could see this, but I'll just thumb through a little bit. And they have
maybe just let's see that cover for a hot minute and just leave it up long enough for the camera to get a hold of it. Yeah.
Yes. So,
and this comes out once a year.
I think it comes out once a year, but I could be wrong about that. We'll have to find out. If anyone wants to check, you look up carrierpigeonmag.com.
Okay.
And you can learn more about them. I don't want to give you the wrong information, but it might take about a year to produce something of this quality. This is a high quality magazine, and you can see it has text on one side and an illustration on the other. But the one thing I did want to read to you tonight was a statement from Bruce Waldman, who was one of the co-presidents.
And you represent him. He's over here in the Flatiron.
And I do represent him. You can see his work all year round, even after this show closes.
Yeah, maybe just hold that up for another minute there.
And I just wanted to read something about what makes him tick as an artist and why he became an artist, because I think that's interesting for people to hear too. So Bruce writes, "As long as I can remember, I've had an uncontrollable obsession to make images, to tell stories with pictures, to tell my story. I don't understand why this is so. I never consciously wanted to be an artist when I was young. I never thought of it as a romantic idea, actually quite the opposite. When I thought about it rationally, it seemed to me that you would have to be crazy to go into the arts. One of the things that especially attracted me to the printmaking process in general, and etching in particular, is the kind of textural background plate tone that you get, which can give the image an atmosphere, smoke, or fog. Because my works are emotional and tend to be a little on the dark side, this helps me to recreate the kind of mood that I feel inside. I love making monoprints because of the possibility of being wildly spontaneous, attacking the plate with a reckless abandon. I'm very interested in movement, and this allows me to work in a way that accentuates a feeling of movement." So I don't want to spend too much more time on it, but this gives a little feeling about, in these magazines, you can learn more about each artist because they do write about their process or what motivates them. And
so how,
they're very expressive. Yeah.
Now, from all the different areas that these guys is obviously, I'm just wondering about how they all came to come together.
Well, I'm not sure how all of them met.
Right.
Some of them met because they teach together, and maybe they started exhibiting together before the magazine started. I don't know. I would have to find more out about that myself. But I do know that this group is growing, and they love to exhibit together. So you will see them in many places, not just where I am. You'll see that name, Carrier Pigeon.
Yeah, no. From what I was able to look up a little bit about it, and this is just going to be a totally awesome, exciting thing to have in town for a month.
It's a pretty high quality show for me. I'm very excited. As I say, some of these artists I still haven't even met, but I know they're really good. So I'm honored. Because as I say, I'm a small community gallery, and this is a pretty major show. It's pretty wild, New York style.
No, it should be awesome. So then, what are you thinking about as far as space is concerned? Now, that main, where you have your office is where this is going to be.
Very good question, Jackie.
Very good question, because you've not thought it through.
Let me tell you what. No, we did, because my space is not huge. The exhibit space. I
think you need a whole floor.
Well, we could have done that, but it would have required that other people take their work home. So what we did for this show is we limited it. There's 23 people that are going to exhibit, but they can only bring one piece each.
Oh.
You see?
Okay.
And we limited the size. So some pieces will be a little big, maybe this big, and some will be quite small. And it'll work out because I already know what pieces are coming in, the sizes. But this happens a lot with group shows, That's how they do it. You have a size limitation, and it can't have too many pieces per person. Yeah.
So you have
Yeah.
the painting or
Yeah.
the sketch.
Yeah.
And then you have the written piece that accompanies
no, actually,
it.
I'm glad you asked that. We're not going to have any written pieces. The only thing we're showing in this particular show is the visual artists that decided to be in the show. The written pieces, if you want to become more familiar with them, will be in the magazines, and they're going to have some magazines there too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty ambitious project for
It
these
is.
guys.
It is.
Are the artists that are involved in the carrier pigeon changing?
They're changing because they're usually getting some new ones each year, but a lot of them have stayed together for many years, and they influence each other. They're many of them are printmakers. They do etchings and monoprints. Some are not. Some are painters, but they learn from each other too, and the processes they share. And it's a really interesting group. More of an educational group, I guess you'd call it.
Okay, so I guess I'm curious. You have two artists that are in this group that you're currently working with.
Yes, they're upstairs in our gallery.
The one piece that you just read from,
Bruce Waldman, yeah.
Right, and now the other individual, why don't you give us a little insight into their work?
Oh, well, David Fox, okay. I have brought this this portrait here. I hope everyone can see it.
Yes.
He's just a superbly talented artist in so many different media. I took a class with him in figure drawing over at the County Center in White Plains, and he can just do portraits and figures. And well, the funny thing is he's putting a landscape in this particular show, but he can do any subject matter. But he's well known for his portraits and his figurative work. But what's exciting about David is he's also a musician. He's like a Renaissance man. He can do everything. He writes music, he performs, he paints, and he's a great teacher. So I'm very honored to have him. And his work, as well as Bruce's and the other artists, is very expressive. This is not kind of laid back, quiet work. In fact, a lot of it's a little edgy. It might get you stirred up emotionally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that struck me about this when I first saw some of the work of the show was just the depth of it. I mean, when he said that there's just something about it because of the drawings, I guess, that is a little different. It is a little darker. You can play with it a little bit more. And then I guess
sometimes they get up. The pieces represent struggles, the human condition. Life isn't easy for most people, and they are not afraid to express that in the work that they do. Sometimes it may be in response to what's happening politically, or to a world situation that is very scary or threatening.
Right.
So some of the work is going to be a little bit more reactive that way. It may not be the work that some people are used to seeing in other parts of our gallery, which are just beautiful, more serene
not
pieces.
light, but landscape.
Serene. Like some people say, oh, I just want something nice and quiet, that I want to buy a painting that I could put above my bed because I want to be at peace. Well, some of these pieces that we're showing in this particular show for June may not be as peaceful, but that's okay, because I want to change it up a little.
Right, to make it a little more thought-provoking.
Yeah, and I think that June is the right month for it, because in Open Studio Month, just about anything goes. You'll see a great variety when you walk through town. You'll see art on the streets. You'll see great exhibits through the Hudson Valley Museum that we have. You're going to see all kinds of artistic expressions. It shouldn't be one thing. That's what I like, the diversity. So.
No, for sure.
Yes, so that's part of it.
So what exactly attracted you to an exhibit like this?
Well, I was very excited once I saw the magazine, because I always liked Bruce's work and Davis, and I certainly knew them and respected their work. But when I saw the magazine, I saw the scope of it more, and I also like to write myself. So I think anything that combines writing and art and visual art and really gets to the core of some of these human struggles that we all have, people can relate to it. It has a universal appeal. So it's a serious exhibit, really, and I think that appealed to me. It's not that light. It's more gutsy.
Yeah. So this actually reminds me of something, this magazine. I
Yeah.
wonder if you might be able to, is there something similar to it in the art world?
Well, I think there may be a lot of similar pieces, like perhaps if in universities they often publish wonderful magazines with their English students, their language students and their art students. They often put together terrific, magazines that are more poetic or more expressive. I don't know of any others on this scale with established artists, because I will say that most of the artists in this group are very established. In fact, Bruce teaches in 3 different universities. He's very well known. He's internationally known for his work and his instruction, and he shows in galleries all over the world. So these are very high-class artists. But it does start this kind of working together with writing and the visual arts. I think it starts often in a lot of universities all over the world. You'll see that.
Right, I was curious to see like if the painting or the sketch was something that was developed after someone wrote something. I'm
not sure what their process is. I think they do see the written piece first and then react to it. But I'm not positive. And in the back of each magazine, they do highlight some of these artists without any reference to anything that's written that they're responding to. They sometimes just show their art. So the first part of the magazine is the artist illustrating other people's writings, and then the second part are they take each month, or each issue they have other artists that they highlight just for their art.
And how often, I mean, I may have asked this before, how often is this magazine coming out?
I think it's once a year, but I'll have to check on that. I could be wrong. But I know they have only 9 issues, editions. But they're all beautiful, and they're going to be, some of them will be for sale at our exhibit. And I don't know if we mentioned the date of the party yet, but it's Sunday, June 2nd.
Okay.
That's when people can come and meet all these artists. On June 1st, we're still going to be celebrating Saturday, the day before, for Open Studios. We'll be open all day. We'll be partying. But if you really want to see the artists in this show,
and
then
speak to them,
come on Sunday. But then if you can't come either of those days and you miss all of Open Studios, or I hope not, but if you miss Open Studios, don't be too upset, because this exhibit goes on till the end of June, till June 30th, so people could still see it.
So how's the rest of your summer looking?
Well, we always plan ahead. So we do have a nice show for the July and August. It's sort of a simpler group show, and it's called Capturing Summer.
Oh, wow.
And it's going to be very serene. It's going to be the opposite of this. We're going to get everybody all stirred up in June, and then we're kind of slow down in summer with something very calm. And it's going to be mainly watercolors by a number of artists that specialize in summer scenes. Yeah.
So very cool. So, that was something that caught my attention, just how different the carrier pigeon is.
Yeah, very different.
To a lot of the paintings and the work that you have going on.
Some people will come in and say, "Oh, is this Wendie's gallery?" It's very different.
It's a little dark.
Yeah, well, it is. Usually we don't have anything that's too disturbing or upsetting. And some people don't like that at all, But I think for this month, it'll work. And not every piece is disturbing, by the way. Some have a little more edge to them, but some of them will be, a little quieter. I think the thing is that you can't just look at each piece quickly. These pieces will be more provocative and intense because you have to study them. They each have quite a message, and I think it's good. I think it'll engage the public more than usual.
I think so too, because it certainly piqued my interest. And as I trolled through the internet, and I've seen some coverage on Chronogram. I've seen some things. So I'm hoping this will be hugely, wildly successful for you.
I think it's going to be pretty wild. But once you go through that exhibit, if it's too much for anyone, they can just go to the very next room where everything is calm again. Because all year round we have some exhibits that don't change. They're more, similar artists that you're going to see all year round that are popular and have been with us a long time. And they do very peaceful pieces, or as I said, we also have the jewelry, and we have other decorative arts. Yeah.
You always wonder as you go into, I mean, with the economy being what it is, and as you go into a place, do you what's your bestseller over there at the gallery?
Bestseller?
Whether, I mean, the best-selling artist. I mean, if you can say
Well,
that.
it's very hard to say that because I have so many different kinds of artists now.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you though, in terms of painting, this is interesting. We sell more landscapes than any other subject.
Wow.
So that's it. I mean, I think that if you had to really look at that, and we learn from all this. We may sell other subjects too, but if you happen to be a landscape painter, that's a good thing.
Peekskill's a place for you.
Because that's what people really love, particularly because we're in the Hudson Valley.
Right.
Like if the people from out of town come in, a lot of tourists, and we do have a lot of Hudson scenes. They don't necessarily have to be a Hudson scene, you know, because we sell all kinds of landscapes, but that is the #1 seller in terms of subject. Yeah.
So now, as you know, Open Studios approaches, you're going to be definitely holding court in the gallery. But as you go out and venture out into other places, what are you looking forward to seeing? Who are you looking forward to bumping into?
I like kind of the vibe I get, the excitement in the street. I hope that it's good weather so I can see some art in the street, because a lot of artists do bring their wares out, or sometimes even paint in the street, or paint portraits, or performance art might be going on. And I always love that, you know. I hope to visit a couple other galleries, and of course the museum always is fabulous. There's also art at the river, by the way. You know, we have some wonderful sculptures down there that are
a part of the Peekskill project.
Part of the Peekskill project, and you know, some people would be coming in by train for this, and they'll see that first, or on their way back, and it's very exciting with that very high level sculpture at the riverfront, and it's just that the whole city takes on that persona. There's art everywhere. It's not just indoors; it's outdoors, and it's exciting. I mean, I know that all the artists are working hard behind the scenes.
Oh, of course, because
everyone's planning something special so that when people come to their places, they'll be, you know, wow.
They'll either be finishing up something really great, or showing something really awesome.
That's another thing I'd like to mention, because there may be people listening who have never gone to any of this and they have no idea what to expect. If you go to visit an art studio, that's a great experience too, because you might see an artist's work in progress. They might show you what materials they work with. Like our silk painter upstairs, Berenice Pliskin, is always interesting, because she shows people how she paints directly on silk. She shows them how she uses French dyes.
Well, just like really quickly, that they can do that at your studio all the time.
All
because
the time.
on any given weekend, you can drop in and see someone working on their stuff. But you know, unfortunately, we've run out of time.
Oh, we've run out of time.
Look at that! You know, it happens too quickly. So I guess, you know, we want to tell everyone how to get a hold of you and the studio and find out information.
Well, we're open Thursdays through Sundays, 12 to 6, and by appointment. And if you call our phone, 734-1894, you could speak directly to me.
Thank you so much for coming, Wendie. It's great to see you again.
Thank you. And come to Open Studios.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the Living Arts Club over here, thank you for tuning in. Definitely there's a whole lot of art happening and a whole lot of great stuff happening in the area over the summer, so definitely catch it. I want to thank you for tuning in. Please visit our website and YouTube and like us on Facebook and all that good stuff. Thank you and have a great night. Peace.
Right.
So.